And get started. And I'm recording. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute, make sure everybody's muted. Okay, so you guys, for the sake of the recording, if you don't know who I am, my name is Katie Harold, and I'm a presidential diamond with It Works. I've been with the company for 6 years, and I'm super duper excited tonight because this is an invite-only Zoom with one of our top income earners, and I'm super excited because she just totally rocks a platform that I feel like some of us are newer to, and we're getting the hang of it. We're having so much fun with it, and I'm super excited to hear from her. So Cassie, what's up, girl? I see you're on a boat today and you were able to make time for us. So thank you.
Hi, how are you? Yes, it was a great day today.
So I would love if you would introduce yourself and just tell the girls, who you are, where you're from, how long you're with It Works, and a little bit about your story.
Okay, so I'm Cassie Westlund. I'm 24 years old. I've been with It Works now a little bit over 4 years. So I joined when I was 20 years old. And at the time, I was your typical broke college student. I was working like a million different part-time jobs, and I was living in a tiny studio apartment with Spencer, my husband. And life was just like tough. We had real bills to pay. We had rent to pay. And at that age, we were just struggling. But I thought it was normal to struggle at that age. And I had so many different odd jobs. Like, we never saw each other. We were always working. So anytime I saw like a random job, like, I picked it up. And we never really had time for each other. And I was just so sick of living paycheck to paycheck. And then one day I saw a girl posting about this business on Instagram. It was someone I went to school with. So I kind of knew of her. So I figured, okay, well, this isn't a scam. And it took me probably about 3 months of watching her before I actually signed up. I definitely just felt God pulling me towards the opportunity. I was like, I have to just try this. And right off the bat, I had a lot of people telling me that I couldn't do this, that it was a scam, that it wasn't going to work, that I wasted my money, my family telling me the same thing, close friends, and a lot of people just mocking me, making fun of me. Like, I was pretty much fresh out of high school. So I had a lot of people, just like didn't believe in it, and that they thought it was stupid. And at that point, like, I was a very sensitive person, and I've definitely grown thicker skin since, but it really bothered me and it really upset me. But at that point, I had like two choices. I could either let them win and give up and quit, or I was going to prove them wrong. And that's exactly what I did. I honestly let that fuel my fire even more to prove them wrong. So I promoted really quickly in the beginning. I went ruby my first month, diamond my second, and double diamond my third month. I was definitely ignorance on fire. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm a super shy person, so this was way out of my comfort zone. I'd never done anything like this before in my life. I'm not the type of person to just go up to someone and ask them to try this. So I did everything from social media. And when I started with It Works, I only had like 300 Instagram followers, and I really never used Instagram before. So I was definitely new to everything. But I just used the tools that I had. I listened to my upline, and I just was willing to learn. And then 10 months into the business, I went triple diamond, and that was a huge turning point for us because I was able to leave all those jobs that I was working. And Spencer was also able to retire from corporate America full time. He was working like all these different jobs. And at that point, we also moved out into a brand new apartment, bought new cars, started paying off debt. Life was really, really good. And then about, I want to say almost a year later, I went presidential diamond. It was January of 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016, right before conference. And then right after conference, I went ambassador in May. So that was like 5 months later. And right after that, I went to green carpet. And when I was here for green carpet, I was like, I want to move to Florida. Like, I always wanted to move to Florida my entire life, but I didn't know where to move. I was like kind of scared to make the leap and do such a big move. But I signed a lease while at green carpet, and we moved down a month later. So now it's been almost 2 years that we've lived here. And I started building like my dream house, our first house, while we were living here. And I just moved in a month ago. And since then, we've been able to pay off over $20,000 in student loan debt. I've been able to pay off credit card debt. I've been able to help my family so much, help my grandma, my mom every single month. This past Christmas, I was able to do one of my biggest dreams ever. I was able to buy my mom a townhouse just 10 minutes away from my new house. So we're able to live close to each other, and she's all taken care of. She doesn't have to worry about where she's living and all that. And there's just been so many things we've been able to do. We've been able to take so many vacations and help so many people. It Works totally has blessed our life and totally changed everything for us. So yeah, that's pretty much like the short story. for my
Oh my
sport.
God. I'm like freaking out over here. I know the girls are too. And obviously, Sarah, my bestie, my upline, like we kind of consider ourselves like this OG team where we're like old kid camp and we came from rap parties and all this stuff. So going this fast and using social media is very new to us. We're catching on. We're doing good. But it's very new to us. And so this is just mind blowing. So the first thing I want to ask you is like, can we talk about this 10 months to triple? Because, all right, girls, I know how many of you are on that want to go triple diamond. So drop it in the chat if you're going triple diamond this year. When are you going triple diamond? Because when you said that, I could see the faces. I've been getting messages. Like, can we talk about that for a second? You said you were ignorance on fire, had no idea what you're doing, and started from we see you as I sent you the picture that I made, like this Instagram queen and knowing everything about Instagram. So starting from 300 followers, I think that's super relatable for some of us that did not start with this big, beautiful Instagram. So if you could just talk a little bit about getting the triple in 10 months, like that is insane.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll start from the beginning. Like I went Ruby in my first month and I just didn't stop there. Honestly, I didn't know anything about the business. I thought it was normal to promote every single month. So I didn't think anything different. I remember after going double, like I wanted to go triple right away and I was actually upset. I'm like, why am I not promoting right away? Like I didn't realize that it actually takes time, especially once you get to the bigger ranks. But honestly, it was just all consistency and just treating this business like a business since day one. Like I caught the vision very, very quickly. I joined for side income, but quickly I learned that like other people were doing this full time and if they can do it, so can I. And I also forgot to mention, like I was going to school at the time, but I did not love what I was going to school for. I changed my major like so many different times. So I was not passionate about anything in life. Never really found myself good at anything. I wasn't a good student. I didn't have good grades. And once I started with this and I realized I was good at it, like it was like my new passion. So I ended up dropping out of school. And not to say that's a good thing, but it just wasn't for me. And I feel like that kind of fueled my fire even more because like I didn't have a plan B. Like this was it. Like I didn't have anything to fall back on. I didn't have a degree. I just had student debt. And, my family was kind of like relying on me to get a degree and like get a job like everyone else does. And I remember in the beginning, I didn't even tell them like I quit and like I dropped out. So I'm like, okay, like if they start asking me, like I need to prove them wrong and like have this income to show for. So I feel like that in itself, like just fueled my fire. I'm like, I have to do something with my life. Like I'm not going to just be like a bum and not drop out of school, So, I mean, that's when I went double. I was like, okay, like now I'm making probably the same amount that I would out of college with the full-time job. Like I was making around like $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Like that was more money than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And it honestly was just all consistency, just really trusting the process and staying as close as I can with my team as possible. I did have a pretty big local team. When I first signed up, I asked everybody that I knew. So I asked all my friends, all my family. I'm sure you guys know who Nayara Ribeiro is, but she was my best friend before the business and she was my very first distributor. I basically made her sign up with me because she was broke. So she's been with me since the very beginning and she's a rock star. So I'm very blessed to have her. And then I also have a triple diamond who I went to high school with, and I have my sister who was a presidential diamond. And I basically asked everyone that I knew. But the thing with them is my sister signed up right away and didn't really work the business for a year. And then my friend from high school signed up right away, but didn't run with the opportunity for probably at least 10 months. So it wasn't like they all signed up and they were all amazing. Like it took them time. But I feel like the biggest number one thing is definitely asking everybody you know, because you never know who's going to say yes. Because had I not asked, those 3 people, I wouldn't have them on my team today. And we're all so close, which is great. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I've asked so many more than that. Those are the only ones that actually said yes. So that was like a huge having a local team. And then of course, like I'm not sure if just people that was following on Instagram, it was just connecting with people that were local to me. But Emily Worsing and Nicole Hassinger, I'm sure you maybe have heard of those names. They're presidential and ambassador. I found them on Instagram. Well, I found Emily. I didn't personally enroll Nicole. She was enrolled by someone else on my team. But they were only like 30 minutes from me. So I definitely utilized the fact that I had my people local to me and we got together every single Wednesday. We did a work Wednesday and honestly more days than that too. And I just feel like connecting with each other and growing as friends, like it really helped so much. And it really helped everyone like really just caught the vision very quickly. But honestly, like, I feel like I just wanted that $10,000 paycheck so bad. Like I never got comfortable. Like I feel like a lot of people, when they get stuck at double, they either get comfortable with the income because, it's a great income. I mean, it's not like, six figures, but it's enough, or people, they think that they can't make $10,000 a month, whether they feel like they're not worthy of it or they feel like it's too much money for them. They wouldn't know what to do with it. I feel like a lot of it is mental. So you really, really, really have to make sure that you truly envision yourself as a triple diamond making those six-figure annual paychecks, because I literally daydreamed about triple diamond every single day up until I went triple diamond. And like, I truly believed it with my entire heart. I knew that it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And I pushed for it, honestly, probably every single month after double, thinking it was going to happen, thinking that was the month, and it wasn't. But every single time I did that, I gave myself a raise. So that's another huge thing too. Like, even if you don't hit it and you try really hard, like you're going to get that much closer and you're going to keep growing your income. But I mean, thinking back then, like that was almost 4 years ago now, 3.5 years ago, Instagram was so different then. Like Instagram just keeps evolving. Like back then, like you can post 10 times a day on your feed and it could be spammy and it worked. Obviously today, that's not how Instagram is. Like content is very important and you can't post that many times a day, obviously. So I've definitely learned, through the years how Instagram is evolving. I've gotten better, but I definitely was no genius in the beginning. I was just like everyone else, just figuring it out. Back then too, there was like no algorithm. So that was pretty great. But I mean, like, do you have like specific questions about it?
Well, I guess going into that, perfect transition. So, like I said, like me personally, and I feel like some of the girls on my team, I won't speak for everybody, but Instagram was always something where I would post on it, but I wouldn't focus on it. Like I've built 95% of my business on Facebook, but if I'm being honest, I'm bored. I want Instagram. It's so fun to me now. I'm figuring it out. Like, and we figure things out together as a group with the presets and the posting and the comment pods and all the things. And so it's fun now. And so, and the girls also will laugh because I'll be like, Cassie's my best friend and she doesn't even know it. Because I like, and I will take what you post and I will use that as inspiration to make my own, because I just think it's important. And I also think over is so fun. So basically, I look at what you post and I'm like, okay, how can I make this my own, or even just make my own picture with those words? And so I noticed that you're very strategic, like even with your story today, like saying, surprise, I have more codes. This is my amazing life. We're out on the water and this is the dream life. And we're at this, having lunch or whatever. And then it's like going into your story and you have more codes or whatever. And so it's your stories are very strategic. And I noticed that you only post on your actual feed once a day with something, witty, like living the 7-day weekend. So if you could talk a little bit about your strategy as far as like times, content, and like how you get inspiration and the creativity for your stories, because being a top earner as you are, that like literally thousands of people are looking at your story like, how can I do this? So
Yeah.
if you could just talk a little bit about like your creativity, your strategy, your inspiration, your content, stuff like that.
Okay. So with the way Instagram is now, with the algorithm and how things have changed, I definitely post less on my feed. So I don't even post every single day, sometimes just a couple times a week, maybe every other day, kind of just depending on if I have something to post, because I am pretty picky with what I post on my feed, just because it's like your portfolio. It's like your resume. Like that's the first 9 pictures are going to be what people see before they decide if they want to follow you or not. So it has to look good. So I definitely recommend getting a preset. I recently got one a couple months ago, so I didn't always do this. I was just using PicTapGo, but the presets definitely have changed the game with making the feed look better. And there's so many that you can go out there and use. Like, doesn't matter where you live. You can live like in the forest and there's like beautiful presets that go with that, like with nature. I use something really colorful because I live in Florida, so it works. But yes, I post on my feed a couple times a week. I used to post, everything is usually business related. I used to post like very lengthy captions, but now I'm trying to mix it up where, like you said, it's like a short sentence, kind of short and sweet, still related to the business, but not so much where people are going to get bored and read right over it or not read the actual caption, because I want people to actually see my stuff and want my life. At the end of the day, like we're trying to portray something, people are going to want what you have. So make sure that your bio is, make sure your bio is good and your profile picture is good. And with stories, like you can post in your story as many times as you want. It's just like Snapchat. It's not annoying. I literally post from the second I wake up till I go to bed on my story. The biggest thing is not only posting business content, product content. Like you want to post about your life. You want people to see you, share personal things in your life, share your dog, share your family, share your kids, share your husband, share what you're eating, share quotes, whatever. I love to use the features that Instagram has. And I heard that the more that you use them, like the music, the hashtags, the location, the GIFs, all that stuff, the more that you use it, the more it's going to boost your algorithm because Instagram wants you to be using all those things. So when you click like that little sticker icon at the top, there's so many different options that you can use to enhance your stories, and it makes it look better. Honestly, where I've learned how to make really nice content is honestly from Instagram bloggers, like bloggers that are like fashion bloggers that sell clothes and stuff like that. They have really nice Instagrams, and honestly, sometimes I just creep them and I see what they're doing because they honestly know the latest and greatest and how to use Instagram, and I kind of just copy them. Something that I started doing as well is putting presets on my stories. If it's not a video, because if it's a video then you can't, unless you have like a video preset, but I haven't learned that yet. Because it also enhances the picture on your story. You obviously want your stories to look good too. So don't only edit the pictures in your feed, also edit the pictures on your story. But the biggest thing I think is honestly mixing up your content and having people want to see what you have to say, because if it's always going to be a before and after picture, always going to be a business post or just something boring, people are going to go right over it or they're not going to want to click it. The app Over is amazing. It is a little confusing at first, but I promise the more that you use it, the easier it does get. And what's great about that app is it has so many templates there for you. So you don't have to be really creative to use it. I know a lot of people make their own templates on there, but there's so many there that you can use that honestly can enhance any kind of business post that you want to make. So it's definitely worth the money. I think it's like $100 a year, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. I also recommend doing highlights. Do you have highlights yet, Katie? I'm not sure if you do or not. Yeah.
I do, but I kind of haven't gotten the hang of it yet because I feel like some people, like girls will follow me that they're in it, they're in another network marketing company and it's like for hair. And I can tell right away, obviously, because we know, but I haven't gotten the hang of it yet as far as like, what do I call it? To where somebody goes to my page, like, I honestly erased my business one that had my story on it because it was so old it kind of wasn't up with the times. So I erased it and I called it what yours is, Biz Talk, until I kind of figure out what I'm going to call it and what I'm going to put in there. Because I noticed you have one that's like Biz Talk and one that's Life. So they're like separate. So I'm trying to get the hang of like what to put in there and what to call them.
Yes. So that's another thing. I have one that's Biz Talk and one that's Results. So the one that results is obviously before and after pictures. And then I have one that's Life. So that's just all daily life. And then I have one that's Words. It's basically just inspirational quotes. I have another one that's my new house. And then I also have, let me check. I'm missing one. You definitely don't want it all to be business related.
Yeah,
I have one that's my story, and then I have one that's travel. Okay. So anytime I go on vacation, I'll like add those highlights in as well, and I'll add that. And you definitely want to add your story on there because you want people to be able to see that. Although we're constantly sharing it.
do you put that in Biz Talk?
No, it's separate.
Okay, so
You
you
could
have
put it together. I mean, that's just how I did it. Everyone does it a little bit differently. Biz Talk is basically maybe a success story, maybe just anything business related. Like if you guys go on my Instagram, it's public. You can go and look. You can see all my highlights and how I organized it. And also, big thing is having highlight covers. So you don't want to just have it like what your story is because it's just going to be whatever the first slide is. That's what it's going to be. You want to make sure you have covers for it. So a lot of people go on Pinterest. They find cute little pictures. You can use a solid color. I mean, you can really get creative with it. You could see what I did. It's kind of like tropical, kind of fits the vibe of my Instagram. And then if you're on your highlight, I'm going on there right now. Not loading. And you click the more button and you click edit. When you edit your cover, it takes you to like your camera roll, and then you can add a picture from your camera roll to make it the highlight cover without actually having to post it and then tag it as a highlight. Because some people do that too, or I used to do that before I figured that out. Because like if you are putting up 5 highlights and you don't know how to put it on there, people add it to their story and then add it to the highlight, but you don't have to do that. if you just click edit cover.
What I did recently, honestly, and this is so like, I feel like it's so elementary, but I was like, I made mine emojis. Like mine is literally just like, I have one that's cooking and it's a spoon. The dog is a pause. Because I'm like, I just need to get something up until I decide what mine is going to be. Because I
Yeah.
haven't decided. So this kind of leads me into my next question. So before you lived in this big, beautiful house in Florida, and, you know, how do we make our life look fun and interesting and beautiful before we live in a big, beautiful house in Florida? You
I
know?
mean, yeah, people ask me that all the time, and I tell them, like, I went ambassador before I moved to Florida. I literally moved 2 months after I promoted. And honestly, it was the same thing. I mean, I know Instagram was still probably different back then, but I still posted what I was doing. Yeah, it wasn't like on the beach every single day, you know, and having sunny skies, but people can relate to anything. Honestly, I feel like the more your life sounds too good to be true, the more you can't relate to it. You know what I mean? So that's why it's so important to share the small things and the little things. Like I have so many girls that live up north, and if you look at their Instagrams, like you wouldn't believe how beautiful they are. Like I have one girl that lives like near like farmlands, and she has all these horses, and she has a preset that's like kind of like a darker color preset, and it looks amazing on her feed, and she's just always sharing like her outside nature walks and like out, you know, going out to eat with her friends and with her horses and things like that. Like you kind of just have to do whatever fits your lifestyle. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to own that, whatever it is that you're doing. People are going to relate to you anyways. If you have the preset and you know how to use it, it's going to look good regardless. Don't feel like you have to have something that's all bright and colorful like mine. That's just what works for me because I live here. But yeah, I mean, if you scroll down, like far down, like you'll see my posts way before I lived in Florida. I mean, they weren't as good because I feel like every year I get a little bit better and better and Instagram evolves. But I mean, I still made it work, you know?
Yeah. Well, I feel like we talk about that a lot. And it was funny because, you know, I was talking to Sarah the other day and I was like, you know, it's just different for me because you guys live in Florida and you have pools and oceans. And she was like, I said something like, I don't live on vacation. And she's like, yes, you do. You haven't worked in 5 years. You do live on vacation. And so it's
Exactly.
funny because I uploaded a picture yesterday of me on this unicorn float. You guys, I was in my friend's pool and using her 12-year-old's floaty. And I asked her daughter to literally take a picture of me and I like cropped out the background and made it all bright. And I was like, see, I got this. So,
Exactly.
okay. So I guess I kind of had to just hear that. So let's get into like messaging, like the actual meat and potatoes, because I have 4 questions of just like building. So I will just start with a newbie question. How do you get your newbies started and duplicating? Because obviously, you know, you girls are really great at post, 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 post. And how do you get your newbies started? Because this is the question that also always evolves. So what are you guys doing now to get them started and get them doing?
Yes. So the first thing I send them is kind of like this long blurb. It's a paragraph. I can send it to you right after we're done. But basically, it's just me saying, like, this is your first goal to get 4 customers, and it means you're going to get this. And I just tell them straight up, like, you're going to hear the word no, and discouragement's going to happen, but I don't want you to give up right away because I lay it all out there because it's going to happen. So I'm very blunt, and I tell them that right off the bat, and just let them know that they have to give this a chance and to stay in constant communication with me, that they're never going to annoy me, and they have to text me. That's like the first thing I send them, and I'll send that to you. And then right after that, I send them a couple of training videos. So I have Jade Hooper's Sealing the Deal with LC video. I always send that just because it kind of just goes over the basic of how to talk to a potential customer. It's what I used 4 years ago when I signed up, and it helped me a lot. So it would still help them. And then a lot of the people that I sign up are pretty young. So I do send them over to like Cheyenne Knox's YouTube channel because she has amazing videos. And anytime I have a good video, I'll send it to them. I don't tag them in our Facebook page in the videos. I send it to them over text just because I want to make sure that they actually did it. And I have them let me know when they watched it. And then I add them into our Facebook group page, obviously. And then I have a group chat with a smaller group chat with just my personally enrolled girls. And basically I have a ton of Instagram stories that I'm always making. And I basically send all my content in there for them to use because I don't expect them to know how to use all these apps and make all these stories. So I'm giving them the content. to start with. Some people make them right away and that's great, but for the most part, they're not going to know. So any single time I'm making a story, I send it to them and they post it. And then I tell them, to start messaging people, to start following people, to start posting, and to text me every single time that they get a message or a text, and that I'm going to walk them through every single conversation. I used to get on the phone with people and like do FaceTimes and stuff, and I will still sometimes, but I did find, I feel like it just kind of wasted a lot of time because you expect it to be like a 10-minute FaceTime. It ends up being a 30-minute FaceTime. And then sometimes they end up quitting the next day anyway. So it's just not worth my time because it's a lot of valuable time, So I still will do that if they really want to, but I really, really like to do voice messaging because it honestly still gets the point across, but it's quick. And they can still hear my voice. So kind of just depends on the situation. I kind of feel them out. But that's pretty much all I do right away. And then of course, once they get their first 4 customers, then I send them a Ruby chart and explain to them exactly what Ruby means. And I think Ashley Sinclair posted this in the Lifers page a while ago. It was a breakdown of how to chart and promote to Ruby and Emerald, and then she did one for Diamond. And I have those videos saved and they're great. And I send those to my new distributors. And it basically explains everything and how the chart works. So I'll explain it myself, and then I'll also send them the video. And then if they have questions, then, I'll answer them from there. But those videos are very helpful explaining the new charts.
Awesome. I like that. Oh, I like that, and I heard Jade talk about this once, like about passing the ball. Like you send them something, tell me when you're done. And then do you kind of nudge them if you're like, here's this video, tell me when you're done. And if you don't hear anything in like 2 days, are you like,
yeah, I definitely double text them, triple text them. Like obviously if it's been a while and they don't answer me, I'm not going to keep texting them, but I do stay on top of them to make sure that they do it. Not everyone's going to do it and that's normal, but I definitely stay on top of them.
okay. Somebody, actually 2 of the girls asked about if you have a personal or business Instagram. It looks like you have a business.
Yeah. So, I have 3 Instagram accounts actually, and I'll explain why after. My main account is public and it's business. I was private for the longest time just because I felt like being private was easier for me to gain followers. But Alyssa Billy was like the queen of social media, and she always said public. So I went public on my main account just to see the difference. I'm still kind of skeptical about how I feel about it, but my main account is public and my other 2 are still private. So I'm kind of just like weighing out my options, seeing which one's getting better results. But I really don't know what I would say is my favorite right now. I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with both.
Well,
So,
I took this tip from Sherry Lynn like 2 years ago, but she said she keeps it public, but when she goes on a following spree, she goes private, so they want to follow her back.
yes, that's a good idea. I do like that. The thing with me is that I'm following every single day. Like every day is a following spree. So it's like,
Yeah.
if I really need followers, that's a great idea. And I would probably do that. But because I have the 3 accounts, the other 2 are private right now. So I'm still gaining followers over there and I'm gaining them on my main account. And because, you're, adding locations and adding hashtags, people are going to be able to find you and on the popular page, obviously if you're public versus private. So I feel like that's been helping me on my main account. So I haven't really decided yet what I like better. But I have it different on each account. And the reason why I have 3 accounts as well is because a while back I reached my following limit on Instagram because you can only follow 7,500 people. And
Like total, like you can't follow any more than that?
mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And if it says like you're following like 7,000, but you have like 500 requests sent out, like it won't let you follow more. And of course, there's limitations on how many people you can follow in a certain hour or how many people you can message. So because of that, and because Instagram is all I do, I had other accounts because when one account is blocked, I have something else to work on. So it basically just helps me do more, but everything I post is all the same in all 3 accounts.
That's awesome. And I feel like it sounds confusing, but if you're literally just putting all the same stuff, so you literally just bloop, 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 and then sign out, sign into the other one, do, do, do. Okay.
I don't have to sign now because Instagram lets you link a bunch of accounts in one app. So I literally just go back and forth. The only thing that's a little annoying is when you're adding a ton of stories, you have to do it 3 different times. That's the only thing that's annoying, but posting is all the same. So it's very simple. It honestly just takes an extra minute, but it's great because, I have 16,000 followers on my first account, almost 10,000 on my second, and then 2,500 on my third. So it kind of just gives me more people to reach out to and more work to do.
That's awesome. I like that. I always had wondered, like I knew Nyara had two. And
Mhm.
so like one day I was looking at her too. I was like, these are like this, it's like all the same stuff. And so, but I did notice that do you use a different profile photo on?
Yes. And the reason why I do that is it's easier for me to distinguish like which one is which because all my handles are pretty similar. They're off by like a letter or like an underscore or something. So it's just easier for me to click back and forth. I know like what picture matches with each account, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay.
You don't have to do that that way, but it's just easier for me to know which account I'm on.
Gotcha. Okay. So my question, so all of these I feel like are really leading well into the next. How many people do you message a day? Like I know that it's probably hard to put a number on it. Like I'm a psycho.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do tallies, but
Ballpark anywhere from like 100 to 300. It really all depends what Instagram lets me do. And it all depends on how many names I have to message. So, what I've been doing for the last couple of years is messaging my followers. So, every single time I gain new followers, I go through that and I message those people. So anytime I would run out of new followers, then I guess at that point I would run out of people to message. But what I have started to do when I run out of people to message um, is I message people that are public. If they're private, you can get blocked. So they have to have a public account and I message them. I mean, it doesn't work as well, I would probably say, as if they were following me because they've already seen my stuff. But I still have got customers that way. So if I'm desperate for customers and desperate to message people and I have no names left, I will still message people even if they're not following me. And I do that on my main account. So for the most part, because I have 3 accounts, I don't really run out of people because I'm very consistent with the following every single day. You have to be gaining new people on your account every single day because, you know, we're constantly going to be losing followers and that's normal. Um, but I mean, probably at least a few hundred between all 3 accounts.
okay, so I know Sarah had told me that you don't message for distributors. You just ask them if they want to try the product.
Yeah, I've never messaged for distributors. Honestly, I just never really liked it. I think I tried it once a couple of years ago and I feel like the response I was getting, like people like didn't know what I was talking about, and I felt like the people that I was messaging, I was almost like a waste because they either said no or didn't know what I was talking about. I'm like, well, had I messaged them about being a customer, they probably would have said yes. Like I just felt like I had so much more success messaging for customers, and I was basically just doing attraction marketing for distributors, and it always worked. You know, anytime I needed a lot of distributors, I put full focus on that, and I did a lot of life posts and posted a lot of success stories, and people would come to me. So, I mean, it really all comes down to like where you're putting your focus and your energy. So, if you need distributors, I mean, I still get them even if I'm not messaging for them.
Okay. And I feel like too, like if you're messaging for a customer and they do say yes, and before you put their order in, you're like, you could always just slip the business in there. Do you do that?
Exactly, exactly. Or when people say they don't have the money or they can't afford it, then I always like turned it around and asked them to sign up with me as a distributor. And that's happened so many times too. So you can flip the script at that point. But yeah, I just never messaged for distributors. It's just not anything I've ever really done. I literally tried it once like years ago and I just didn't really like it. So
Well, I love your perspective on it because you're right. If somebody says no to being a distributor, they're not going to say yes to the product. So if they don't want to, be a distributor, they're not going to want to. I don't know. It's kind of like you can't fall back that way. But if you start with products and they're into the products, well, would you be into the business?
mhm,
So I like that
exactly.
because um, I have never been a cold messenger for distributors, and so I feel like it could be like a really big turnoff. And so I did notice that you do like really pump up the lifestyle posts and everything like that. So um, can you talk about that for just a hot second? Like lifestyle posts, the quality of the photos. Can we just talk about that for a second? Because I feel like sometimes I see lifestyle posts and it could be great, but it was just like a crappy photo.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm very picky and trust me, like it's not perfect. It's not like I take one photo and it's amazing. Like I take like 30 photos before I find the one that I really like. But honestly, it all comes down to lighting, I think. And you don't need a special camera to do it because I have a professional camera and honestly, I don't even use it half the time. Most of the time I'm taking pictures on my iPhone. And how you edit your pictures because I could have a really dark low quality picture. And if I edit it really well, it comes out amazing. So it's all about like what you want your profile to look like, what vibe are you going for? Because I mean, I kind of have like higher standards, I guess. I'm just like pickier. So like I will sit there and take a lot of photos before I get the right one. If you don't really have like a lot of sunlight where you live, maybe it's like cloudy all the time, definitely get a ring light, because I've seen those and I've used one once and it's literally amazing. Like your face literally glows. It's so awesome. Like I would totally get that all the time just for taking selfies. Um, Definitely worth the investment. I think they're like $100 on Amazon, but that would be amazing for your Instagram for sure. And you can also get sorry to cut you off. You can also get backdrops on Amazon. So if you want something to look good in the background, they have so many different backdrops. They're like brick, they're different colors, and you can buy like a stand and then just keep buying different backdrops and then have a ring light and then take photos there.
Oh, girls, you already heard that. We were taking pictures the other day at my house, and we were in the front yard, and one of the girls, she goes, do you know that you have a really good spot on the side of your house to take pictures? I was like, no, because I never come out on the side of my house to take pictures. And so we were talking about backdrops and stuff. So that is really awesome. I would have never thought to like purchase a backdrop. Okay, is there any special apps that you use? Like, and we know what PicTap go over, but like as far as like photo editing, Lightroom.
So Lightroom is like number 1 for presets. I use Facetune a little bit just for different things. Sarah actually just showed me an app the other day, which is great. It's called Snapseed. I'm not sure if you know what it is, but that's great too, because like when I'm editing a picture and like the color's not right either on the background or my face, like you ever have that time like you're trying to edit a picture and it's like you either make the background look really good or your face look really good. You can't get both. That app is perfect, and I've just been using it. And I love it. I use Facetune. I use Perfect 365. That's basically kind of like a makeup app. So if you ever want to add a little bit to your face, don't go crazy because it could look really fake. But that's pretty much it. Lightroom is like the biggest one, I think.
One of my girls shared the app Airbrush. It's kind of like 365 and Facetune in one.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah also showed me this one called Retouch. Do you have that one?
Yes, I've heard of it.
You guys, that is literally how I made a story the other day. I was in my friend's pool again, having her 12-year-old take pictures of me. And it was like, she has one of those above ground pools, so it's not like the most beautiful thing. And so I literally cropped out the side, and it made me look like I was in the middle of this giant pool. And I was literally like on the side of the pool because I used the retouch thing. So that was kind of okay. I was talking to Sarah today, and I was like, we're talking about questions to ask. And so we came up with this question. If you had to start over, how would you build your prospect list? Because I know, when you started, you asked everybody that you know. But if you had to start from scratch, like today, like you had no prospects and you had to make a whole new, like, hundreds list or whatever we call it, where would you start? Like if you lost your Instagram account today, what would you do?
So lost my Instagram, not like starting brand new as a distributor, like
Yeah.
people you know.
If you like just swipe the slate clean.
Honestly, I would just make a new Instagram account. And I know this might sound crazy, but I've had a lot of girls on my team lose Instagram accounts for whatever reason. I'm not sure if you've heard of that happening. I don't even really know what caused it, but don't really know. I honestly could be a million different things. But I've had a lot of girls lose accounts and not get them back. And one girl, she actually lives here in Florida, Allison Messer, she lost like 3 of her accounts and they all had a lot of followers, and she rebuilt an account from scratch from like nothing to 6,000 followers in probably 6 months or less. And that's honestly the only account that she uses, and she signs people up every single day, and she's amazing. So honestly, like that's Instagram is all I know. Like I've never really used Facebook. It's never been my thing. I would have to just start from scratch on Instagram. Like I know how to use it now. I know it's going to take longer and it's aggravating, but I know that I can get my following back up if I play my cards right and I work Instagram the way it's supposed to, because she did it and I know I can do it too. So, I mean, obviously, despite people that I already know, I would just make a new Instagram and start from scratch again.
Do you know what's so funny is because months ago, this was like months ago, I friend requested you on Facebook, and then I was like, How is she number two? She never posts. Because this is before, like, I knew about, like, when I got into Instagram, I'm like, she literally posts, like, once a month. How is she number two? I don't understand. So
No,
that,
honestly, I never use Facebook. Like I'll post on there like randomly, like once in a while if I feel like it. But honestly, I just forget about it. I've just never used it. I don't really like it. I don't really know how to use it. However you feel about Instagram is probably how I feel about Facebook.
that's so funny. So when you first started, were you just like, so you said you were really shy and you asked everybody that you knew, but were you just like, I got to start an Instagram? Or like, when
Well, I
in
had
the
an
beginning,
Instagram. I just never really used it. So I didn't really know like how to use it, I guess. So I kind of just learned. I was like the kind of person that posted like once a month, you know?
mm,
So I just like figured it out. But like I said, back then Instagram was just so different. Like if you go way back and you scroll, like my photos were so bad. They were so ugly. But back then that worked. You know what I mean? It didn't matter.
Okay, Susan has a question. So how do you get your followers up quick like that? Do you just follow, unfollow like crazy, or is it posting good quality photos and using hashtags?
Honestly, both. It's definitely like a nice happy medium because um you know, you can follow and follow and follow and follow, but if your pictures don't look good, people aren't going to want to follow you, you know? If I did start from scratch, I honestly probably would have a private account because I did notice that when my account was private, a lot more people will just hit follow request just because out of the curiosity of like, what are they hiding behind that? Like they want to see what you have on your profile, you know? That's why I still kind of have mixed feelings about it, despite the benefits of being public. I feel like when you're private, you just get them quicker. Don't really know why.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, honestly, content is everything. Like just posting really good quality things that people want to see. Like get people excited about following you. Make sure you're sharing things. Like if you have a talent or something that you love or a hobby, like share that. You know, it doesn't have to all be about the business.
Um, I'm taking notes. And it's funny they say that because like for me personally, I've really been wanting to start this cooking Instagram because I cook a lot, but I'm not gonna have every single photo on my main account be what I cook. So I was gonna do like another one and kind of build it that way. But I'm like, how can I put that into, you know?
Well, if you're gonna post on your feed like cooking things,
Mhm.
so maybe like put in your bio like your second account so people can go back and forth.
Mm,
And then maybe still share a little bit of cooking on your account that you use for business. Like maybe have a highlight for cooking.
yeah.
So like you can have some of it, but not all of it. And if people want to see more, they go onto your other account and they click on your bio. And then vice versa, have your main account in the cooking Instagram bio. So anyone that follows either account can go back and forth easily and see both accounts.
Okay. Nice.
That's
That's
what I would
what I
do.
was thinking, but I was like, do I put that in my bio? Okay, Susan asked, do you use an app to unfollow or do you do it organically?
No, I definitely use an app. I've always used an app. There's so many that you can use. The one that I have is called Followers.
Okay. Because that's what Sarah told me that she had. We were using Cleaner, and
Mhm.
so one of my girls was reading up about how like Instagram is noticing when you're using Cleaner, and so it's gonna like screw up your algorithm or whatever. And so I thought, oh my gosh, maybe that may be true because I went unfollowed a bunch of people the other day, and then I got like, and then my interaction was just sucky for a few days. So I was like, oh my gosh. So
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even think about that. That could be true, but I feel like without that app, I would never be able to unfollow the people that I have to unfollow. Like it would just be a disaster figuring it out on like my news feed. You know what I mean? Like the app is just perfect. Like you need it, you know?
yeah. Um, okay, so before Ambassador, you never messaged for distributors. You just messaged for customers and then slide it in whenever. So I just wanted to talk about like recruiting. And, obviously you had to talk about the business to recruit to get to Ambassador. And you went to Ambassador back in the day when we had to have this big giant chart. So can you talk about like recruiting to build for a large chart if you're
Yeah, I
doing it?
remember I was literally building like a double diamond chart in like 60 days. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, thinking back, literally, I was just life posting like crazy, following up with every single person, following up with all my customers. Because honestly, customers make the best distributors. They already use the products, they already kind of know a background about how it works and all that. So I literally was just following up with everyone. And honestly, when you have that sense of urgency within you that you know you need to enroll distributors, like you're going to get it done. So whatever I was doing or whatever I do on a daily basis, I was just doing more of it. Like I didn't just start messaging just because I needed them. Like I still didn't, you know what I mean? I was just following up with everyone and posting like crazy. And that was honestly before we even had Instagram stories. So it was just posting a lot on my feed back then. Back then I probably posted on my feed like 3 to 4 times a day. And they were probably all distributor posts. I did a lot of like now hiring posts or like looking for social media marketers, those types of posts. And really just following up with every single potential that I had in my phone, honestly.
Okay. Does most of your team like all work through Instagram? Like
Yes,
when you do
definitely.
like a, so we all know stories, we all know over. So when you do like a team training, or maybe you don't do maybe you don't do trainings, but like when you do team training, what new stuff do you guys talk about? Like what do you feel like is new to teach them?
See, I feel like because I'm signing up my potentials from Instagram, they know how to use Instagram. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm getting all my potentials from Facebook who only know Facebook and don't know Instagram or vice versa. You know what I mean? So I feel like all of my distributors are for the most part younger because that's what I'm attracting, mostly college students. So they know how to use Instagram. They know how it works. I feel like the only thing I guess you could teach them is over. But honestly, like I never even taught them that. Like I taught myself, and honestly, a lot of them have taught themselves as well. There's other apps that you can use to make stories that are not as complicated. You can use Unfold. There's this new app called Mojo, Mojo, and that's how you make the cool video apps or the video stories. So it doesn't only have to be like one complicated app, but like Over is like not that hard to use. Like if you play around with it for like an hour, you're gonna figure it out. Like that's how I figured it out. You know what I mean? So we've actually never done a training before on like how to make stories. Everyone just kind of makes their own, or we share them between the team. You know what I mean? We're basically just doing trainings on how to sign people, not like how to use Instagram. Because I feel like for the most part, everyone knows how to use Instagram.
Okay. So do you, I mean, this is just a random question off the top of my head. Do you get your people's information or do you send them to your site?
I send them to my site. I mean, I will like once in a blue moon if like they want me to do it or if they're having trouble, but like 95% of the time, I send them my site.
Kristen wants to know, can you go over a sample message you send for customers?
Yes. So what I send, instead of like sending the initial cold message, what I used to do, what I send is I say, "Hey girl, can I ask you a question?" And the reason why I say that is because for the most part, everyone's going to answer and say, "Yes, what's up?" Um, and because they already answered my initial message, I feel like it's harder for them to ignore the second one because it kind of already grabbed them. And then I'll say something along the lines of, "I hope I'm not bothering you, but I looked at your account and I really love it. I think that you would love our products. Can I give you some more info?" Or yeah, something like that. I can send that to you after what exactly my message is. But I always ask them if I have a question first. And I feel like that also helps my algorithm because if you're sending all these messages out and no one is responding to them, like I'm not going to show up on their feed at all. But if they at least respond to the first one, you know, at least there was some kind of response there, if that makes sense. So that's how I go about that. And then, you know, if they say yes and they're interested, I grab their number right away and I text them. I don't really like carrying on the conversation over direct message just because I feel like it goes so much slower. People don't see their notification and it honestly like doesn't work. And on top of it, you can't send your link through DM because it blocks it. So I don't even like sending them the steps through there. So I always text them and then I already have their number if I have to follow up with them later anyways.
Okay, I like that because it is so true. Like things go so slow in direct messenger because I just feel like people don't check it as much. And I've just had conversations go so slow, and then finally I'm like, oh my God, Delphi, like get their number, get this off of Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so switching gears a little bit, I'm just like trying to think of a few things that I wanted to ask you. Like, what does a typical day look like for you? Because, you know, obviously some of the girls on the team have kids. I don't, but so I'm wondering like this is this is what we do. We don't have kids. What does your typical day look like?
So right when I wake up, I usually probably sleep in between like 9 and 10. So I'm not really like an early riser. You know, make my keto coffee. And the first thing I do is I pray, read my devotionals, and I journal. I really like journaling now. I feel like that's like my favorite way to self-develop, I love Denise Walsh's Dream Life Journal and the workbook. I have both of them and I really recommend getting them. And I feel like just journaling about anything. I mean, I journal about my dreams, gratitude, all different types of things. And I feel like that just sets the tone for the day. And right from there, I will post on my Instagram story. Like that's like the first thing I do. And then of course, like answer any texts or DMs that I have, from the night. And then I'll check in on all my new distributors, make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing, make sure that they have something to post for the day. And, I check in on my other girls as well. But for the most part, like my top leaders, like they know where to find me if they need me. So I'm more intentional about texting my new distributors and texting with people that are new. Yes, I do preset my posts. And then, I'm following, I'm messaging all throughout the day. I'm following up. I follow up pretty much every single day. What else? I'm posting, trying to think what else I do. Honestly, all like the basic stuff, nothing really out of the ordinary. Kind of just fits into my daily schedule, whatever I'm doing for the day, whether it's staying home all day or going out and doing something. But I'm always trying to take pictures of what I'm doing, always.
When you say preset your posts, what do you mean by that?
Like the preset? Because someone asked, do you preset your posts? Like I add presets to my pictures.
Okay. Lorraine, is that what you meant? Or I took that as, do you
did she ask, does she mean something else?
I don't know. Lorraine, is that what you meant? Maybe I took it differently.
Oh, pre-plan my post.
Oh, yeah.
No, not really. I kind of just see like what works best, like how it looks. I have the app called Unum, UNUM, and you can use that app to like pre-plan like what your feed is going to look like. So like I do strategically plan some of my posts on my feed, I guess you could say, to make sure that it all looks good together. So like if I have a great picture, like I took a great picture today, but I didn't post it yet because it wouldn't look good with the picture I had next to it on my feed. So like I'm saving it for another day. So that's something I do as well. Like if I have a really great day where I take a ton of pictures, I'm not going to post them all the same day. Like I will literally hoard them and take as many as I can and save them. So that's really something great for you guys to do. Like if you go on vacation, like when I went on vacation last year, to Sandals in Barbados, I took so many freaking pictures. Like I'm still posting pictures from my vacation last year. So definitely like utilize, like if you have something special going on, like for the 4th of July or whatever you have going on in your life, if you have a day where you look really good or you're somewhere where pictures look great, take as many as you can and stock up because I always do that.
Okay, Bree asks, how did you manage your business when you were working a full-time job? So basically, she's built for diamond, dead set on like diamond, double, triple this year. Very hard worker. She works full-time and she has a very demanding job.
Okay, so I didn't work a full-time job. I worked a bunch of different part-time jobs and I went to school full-time. So I guess it's kind of like the same thing. But honestly, like I just feel like I put this business first before anything else. I mean, I knew what this business was going to do for me in the long run. So I woke up earlier. I stayed up later. I made sacrifices. I didn't watch TV when I got home as badly as I wanted to just lay down and get caught up in a TV show. I didn't. I was working my business because I knew it was going to pay off. I didn't go out with friends whenever there was like social events because of course at 20 years old, like your friends are always going to be going out and doing stuff. I was never really much of a partier, so it really didn't bother me to miss out on stuff like that. But I mean, of course, after a while, like you want to have a social life, but I knew so badly like how much this business was going to bless me and what other 20-year-old was going to make like a $10,000 bonus. You know what I mean? So honestly, all came down to like your priorities and your sacrifices. Like we all have time in the day, even if it's only an extra hour or two before or after work, like that's really all you need to be successful. So it honestly just all comes down to how you spend your time. If you have, lunch break or even 5 minutes between different tasks at work or whatever, if I was in the bathroom at school or work, like I had my phone in my face and I was following up with someone or following people or posting or something. Like I was just always doing something. I never just sat around not working. So I think it's just like utilizing all those little breaks I had as well. Because if you have small little 10-minute breaks all throughout your day, like that could end up being like one full hour of like work that you could have put in. So, I mean, it all just comes down to using your time wisely and really, really making it a priority.
I say that all the time, like when people are like, whatever, but how'd you do it? And I'm like, literally, you just have to make it a priority. Mm-hmm. It's not that you have other things in your life that all of a sudden mean nothing. It's just, this is top priority over other things. And I totally know what it's like to say no. And I was opposite. I was a very social person, and I was like always out doing stuff. And so for me, like, it killed me not to, but it got me to where I am. And so I think that is always my number one tip. Like, make this a priority, period. When you do that, everything else falls into place. So Cassie, I would love to end with, oh my gosh, like, this is just nuts to me. Like, you started when you were 20, you were in school, working all these jobs. You're from Connecticut, right?
Yes.
Um, my boyfriend is from Vermont, so I don't know how similar it is, but East Coast. And
Mm-hmm.
now you're 24, living in a beautiful home in Sarasota because you chose that you wanted to live there. I'm assuming you were just like, there, that's where I
Yeah,
want
very much.
to live. And it's just, I know that sometimes some of us look at you and we're like, oh my gosh, like, she just doesn't care. Like, she just goes. And, I think that you're just proving to everybody, like, if I'm 24 years old, if I'm an introvert and I can do this on Instagram, anybody can do it. And so, um, getting to number 4, all of last year being number 2 is just the biggest deal. I would love for you to talk about just like putting what anybody thinks about you aside, just your mentality. You kind of already talked about it a little bit, like your mentality every single day, because look what it's doing for you. And I think some of us, we hold ourselves back, or we hold ourselves hostage, or we stop ourselves. And so I just would like for you to talk about that for
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, God brought you into this business for a reason. Like, don't think that you can't do what I'm doing or what Katie's doing. Like, God already chose you. Like, you're here for a reason. So don't think that you have to be me or be someone else to be successful. Like Sarah said, I'm sorry, Katie said, I'm getting you confused with Sarah. I'm a very shy person. If you know me, like, I don't like going live. I don't even like going on stage when I'm asked to. I just don't like it. Like, and sometimes I get insecure about that. I'm like, oh, I wish I could be like that person. But at the end of the day, like, I'm me and I'm good at being me, and I don't have to be someone else to be successful. And you have to remember that too. Like, you don't have to fit any certain type of mold to be at the top of this business. I obviously didn't join this business looking, to get to where I am today. But of course, little by little, that's what happened. But I think it just all came down to just honestly believing in myself and just not getting comfortable. Like, I always dreamed bigger. I always set new goals every single time I hit a certain income or I hit a certain rank, because there's just so many people out there that I wanted to help. Like my family was my why. My future kids are my why. I don't have kids yet, but I know that one day when I'm going to be a mom, I want to be able to give them everything. And, that doesn't come from being lazy. Like, I just had to get it done. I think it all just comes down to how bad that you want it, and honestly, just how bad you're willing to work for it, and honestly, just making those new dream boards all the time. You can have all the passion in the world, but eventually, bad days are going to happen, and you have to surround yourself with people that are like-minded and people that are going to get it. Like, I really poured into myself all the time. I spent time with people that got it, because, I had a lot of people, even to this day, I have some family members that still don't really understand what I do, and they're still kind of skeptical, even after all this time. But honestly, like, I just don't pay mind to it. I don't really spend much time with them, because I don't want that, in my life and in my business. I spend time with people that are going to uplift me and that are going to make me feel better about myself, not the opposite. I always tell, I like to use this analogy. Like, if you had a fire and you had a bunch of logs, the fire would stay lit. But if you had one single log, the fire obviously would die out. So we're the same way with people. You need to surround yourself with people that are going to uplift you when bad days happen, because they're going to happen. Obviously, like, it's not going to be a smooth sailing ride to the top. You're going to have challenges. You're going to face tribulation. Things are going to happen, but that's what makes the ride so worth it. And that's what makes you appreciate it so much more when you get there. If it was that easy, everyone would do it. So just remember that, when bad days happen and struggles happen, I tell myself all the time, like, it's just part of the process. Like, bad things are going to happen, things are going to happen. Life's going to happen. It sucks, but you have to just get through it. You have to keep going. You can't throw a pity party. Work based on what you want and not how you feel. And just trust the process and know that God brought you here for a reason, and He's going to see you through. He's going to bless your efforts. So, just stay laser focused on where you're going, because if you know where you're going, you're going to get there. It's just a matter of time. I feel like everything all just comes down to like what you truly believe in your mind, you know?
I love that. So what's your visions? Like what's next for you guys? Because holy crap, like you're down in Florida, you brought your mom with you. And I'm not going to lie. I'm like, I look at your, stories and I'm like, I want to give my dog that life and I want to have a pool for him. And so now you have all that stuff. You've got the cars, the vacation life. What's next for you?
I mean, so many different things. I want to be able to help more people in my family, not just my mom. I want to be able to give back more every single month. Like I give back every single month, but I want to be able to like donate like $1 million to some foundation that really moves me if I wanted to. You know what I mean? I want to be able to travel more places. Like I said, when I'm a mom one day, I want to be able to do all the things that I want to do with my kids whenever that time comes. Like this was basically our dream house that we built and it's absolutely amazing. It's more than I could have ever dreamed of, but it's only a 3-bedroom house. Like if I end up having like 2 or more kids, like I might outgrow this house. So I might need an even bigger house. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what the future holds. I'm not going to just be here forever. So like I'm always dreaming bigger and thinking bigger. Like there's so much more out there. There's always going to be another level. So you have to get your head in that mind frame. Like I want to make $1 million a year. And I know to make $1 million a year, you have to make $85,000 a month. And of course, right after that, I want to be a black diamond because, making the kind of income I'm making now is great. But after a while, it kind of gets old. I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, I want more. You know what I mean? Because after you start making it for a certain period of time, it kind of just becomes a little comfortable to you and it's great. But like, I want more, not selfishly because I want more for me, but I also want more for other people too, because I know that the more I make, the more I help others. And, always putting God first in my finances, number one, too, because I feel like if God can't trust you with a little bit, he can't trust you with a lot. So that's like another number one tip I would give. And something that honestly, I think has really contributed to my success is just tithing 10% every single month and just truly giving back what's God's and putting him first in my business always. So I feel like that's number one. I would be doing you guys a disservice if I didn't say that. Obviously, despite like what your beliefs are, but to me, that's really, really important. So yeah, obviously, like I have a bunch of dreams, but I'm always thinking bigger. I'm always thinking on the next level. I'm not comfortable where I am right now. Definitely not. I want more.
It's so refreshing to hear you say that you came from like when you started, people were the haters and the naysayers and weren't agreeing with or understanding, because I feel like that's where I came from and that's still where I'm at. And so I'm like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. And I love hearing you say $1 million a year, because that's 85 a month, and then Black Diamond. Isn't that nuts to think that that's just a stepping stone on the way to Black Diamond? But the fact that you're dreaming that because you have checked things off, like, allows us to say, okay, that's not selfish. That is so you can help a crap ton of people.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's so awesome. Well, I just appreciate you so much for taking the time. I know you had a busy day, and I appreciate you hopping on and answering all of our questions. And we just look up to you so much. And congrats on number 4. I know numbers are going to change. And I know you're going to Costa Rica. So that's super exciting. But we just appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was awesome.
Thank you, girl. Well, I will talk to you later. And if you could send me, everybody's being crazy downstairs. If you could send me some of those things that we were talking about, that would be super awesome.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everybody.